I have got, $50. Big money. Big money. Okay. And you can have this, or you can trade it for what's in the box. Deal or no deal. Yeah, exactly. The money or the bag. Yeah. That used to be a TV show, didn't it? Yeah. Oh, well, I most probably have to refer to them so they don't sue me. But before you all run up and steal $50 from me and sort of beat me up and take it out of my pocket, there's a few rules we have to clarify, okay? So you can't look in the box before deciding. You can't change your mind, and yes, you can't have both. You can only have one. Okay? My question to you then is to ask, what one would you do, or what one would you choose? What would you do? Do you keep the safe option, something that you know how much it's worth? You know that this is $50, okay? Or do you trade it in for something that's in the box? Something unknown, something that could be perceived to be a little bit riskier, okay? Or could it be something that's worth more? Or it could actually be a parking ticket that I got last week, and I've put it in there, and then you have to pay for it. This is the only way that I can get it paid. Just to clarify, I did not get a parking ticket. I maintain all council-approved parking areas. So whether you know it or not, you're weighing up two things, the risk and the reward. You're asking yourself, what am I risking? Is what I know worth trading in? And what is the size of the box? What could be inside of it? It's obviously not a car, but maybe it's car keys. Now, what if I actually increase this from $50 to $100? Okay, what are you going to do now? Have you changed what action you're going to do? How much are you willing to risk if I just keep on increasing this? These questions I'm asking, prompting you to make multiple conclusions, to place a value or place worth on two things. The $50, which we can put over here, got to place a worth on that, and placing worth on something unknown, something that's in the box, something that we're unfamiliar or uncertain of. I'm asking you to decide if what is unknown is worth the risk of trading in what's revealed to you or what's right in front of you. Your ability to make these decisions, however, is based on your understanding of worth and risk. And worth can sometimes be quite challenging to grasp. Obviously, in this scenario, $50 is quite easy to grasp because we're just measuring it financially. Okay? But sometimes it's not that easy. Sometimes we have to consider the time and the stress that would go into it. Sometimes we have to consider the amount of effort that's needed for it. And then even some people have said that you don't know what you've got until it's gone. So according to them, it can't be done until it's too late. So you're stuffed either way. We could argue back and forth if we've measured worth correctly or incorrectly, if we've considered all the factors. We could invite in mathematicians. We can invite in risk analysts. We could get chauffeurs to come out and run us through all the risk of our different options. But we always end up having to make a decision. That's the thing we have to do. Whether good or bad, whether right or wrong, we have to make decisions on the information we have in front of us and what we think this is worth. And I've even made some decisions this morning. I decided that it wasn't worth the embarrassment to wear a bright fluorescent onesie, and it was better for me to wear this. Okay? And I'm assuming everyone's agreeing with me. No, okay. I've decided that it wasn't worth the risk to speed to church and potentially get a ticket, even though I would have got in here faster. And it was more better or worth more to me to be nice to Alicia this morning because, as they say, happy wife, happy life. Okay? And there are so many more examples we could come up with. I'm sure we've all made decisions this morning. And We can see them throughout the Bible. There's a heck of a lot of examples that we can even think about. There's some great decisions that people made on what they believed, and we can see David did a few of those. And there's also some not so great decisions that people made, which we could also say David did as well. But when we talk about people acting on their decisions, we can't look past our best example, which is Jesus. We had Jeremy talk about the message of love last week, and this week we're focusing on Jesus as light of the world. And similarly, like last week, when we focus on light, at first glance, it isn't something that hard to understand or grasp or understand the worth of it. We know that Jesus was good, that he came and did good things. So it's not really that hard to create a link between goodness over here and light over here. That's not complex at all. We're also supported in that sort of conclusion with popular culture. We've got lots of examples of light being good. We see that in movies, games, illustrations, where light or the light side is good, and dark or the dark side or darkness is bad. And after a few battles back and forth and struggles, on the most part, the light side comes out and they win. For those who have been around for not too long, you see that in the Avengers. For those who were born in the 70s and 80s, which I'm sure a few of us acknowledge, those are seen in the Star Wars films. And I was not around in the 50s, but from what I've read on the internet, Shane was quite a popular movie in the 50s. Is that correct? No idea. But that seemed like the similar train of thought. I have no idea if that's the case. Has anyone seen it? No. Okay, well, wasn't that popular? One person. Yes. Okay, one. Okay, am I correct? Is that? Yeah, okay, see, look. Done my research. Yeah. And although the Bible does start along similar trains of thought with God creating everything through his personal word and declaring that light was good, a simple explanation of light being good doesn't measure the worth of this quality. When we explore the concept of light more, we see its imagery linked with many other things. Isaiah 9:2 refers it as salvation. Proverbs 6:23 refers to it as the commandments. We also have God's presence, moral purity, true knowledge, favor, goodness, truth, the removal of darkness or evil. And then we see in that last one, Psalms 56:13 refers to light as life. The intention here is to see light as more than just something that is good, or that even something that signals that someone's home. Or if you have children who leave the lights on, then that's not the case. It gives us the sense of wholeness or light, or the illumination or pushback of darkness, the symbol of adversity, disaster, or death. And it is because of these images and what it brings, or even what it drives away, that light is then good. So when we explore John 1 verse 9, which a lot of us I'm sure are familiar with, we see the importance of the one who brings light. And if you want to, if you've got your Bibles, you can open it and turn to there. I've got it on the screen for you to follow as well. So John 1 verse 9, we're starting off by saying, the true light that gives light to everyone is coming into the world. Now there's a lot of statements here to explore. It's not just as simple as just one sentence. We have a statement of someone who is the true light. And looking at the word true, that is more reflected about declaring that there's someone that is the absolute, perfect, and true light. Not saying that he's the true light and there's some false light. This declares that the perfect light is someone coming. That Jesus didn't just embody life, he was life. And because of this person's position and authority they had, they were able to and desired to give life to everyone. Then we move to verse 10. We have the verse of, he was in the world, and though the world was made through him, the world did not recognize him. Again, we have a statement here referring to the position this person has. They are the creator of the world, who in Genesis 1 we see created life. Throughout all eternity, light was present. Now this eternally existing light is entering time. But now a world darkened by sin and in desperate need of a Redeemer. Then we continue on to John 1, 11 and 12, the next two verses that we've got shown there. He came to that which was his own, but his own did not receive him. Yet to all who did receive him, to those who believed in his name, he gave the right to become children of God. We have our third example here of another statement of ownership, or a statement acknowledging someone's position. However, now we see that although he came to give light to the world, there are only certain groups of people who are given the right to receive this. Now, a few simple verses. We've only just covered 4 verses there, but they talk about 2 large concepts or ideas or things that we're going to explore today. This first idea that we're exploring is the fact that Jesus knew his position as true light and giver of life. He knew that he was worth so much more value than anything he could be given. Unlike what we had with my $50 note. There's uncertainty here as to which one's worth more. Will I sway this way? Will I sway to the right? We see this during the moments where he was tempted in the desert. He refused to trade in or reduce or change his position down to what the devil wanted. There was no swaying back and forth with Jesus. He knew what he had. He knew that it was worth more than $50. He knew that it wasn't worth trading in or risking the trade-in of something that he knew for something that he didn't know. His actions here explain how he can come out and boldly say in John 8:12 that I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but have light of life. Jesus is actively aligning himself with what had been proclaimed about him. Which, if you don't know what you're worth, you ain't doing that at all. He's intentionally aligning himself with the authority and position that we just went through in those 4 verses in John. He's aligning himself as the person of true light. He's aligning himself with the idea that he is the one who can give such. He's aligning himself as the position of the creator, the giver, and all of those things. He's acknowledging that he is the one to restore the kingship of God. But the references just don't stop there. He's also acknowledging that he's the fulfillment of Isaiah 9, which, if you're familiar with Isaiah 9, it's a point in time where there's a lot of despair, frustration on the people of Israel, and they're being invaded by the next person who wants to invade them, whoever they are. And there's a lot of despair. There's a lot of feeling with them going, God, where are you? I thought we were your chosen people, but we're constantly attacked. He's also aligning with what the psalmist says in Psalm 27:1, that the Lord is my light and my salvation. There's no backing off here. He's actively declaring that he is the one to bring Judah out of their trouble, darkness, gloom, and anguish. And these are huge. These are huge, bold statements to make. These are ginormous. This is not someone who can potentially sway left and right. This is someone wholeheartedly fixed in what they know the worth is. He's coming out and saying how it is. He's putting all of his eggs in one basket. He's not going to the slots and chucking down bets across multiple numbers. He knows what the winning card is. He knows what the appropriate thing to place his worth on is. He doesn't have a backup plan. He hasn't come out and said, I may be able to give life, potentially. Or I may be somewhat of a good teacher or role model for young people or adults. Or I could be potentially what's prophesied in Isaiah 9. That sounds like a good idea. Yeah, I'll try my best. He doesn't do that at all. And the unfortunate thing really is us humans, we don't really like to do that a lot. We really like to sort of sit in the middle and sort of think, oh, maybe I might jump over here. Maybe I might jump over here and maybe rattle it a little bit and then go, oh, no, don't like that. Let me come to this. Doesn't seem like it's worth $50. Maybe it's empty. Oh, stuff that. I'm coming over here. We like to spread out our eggs across multiple baskets. Just like just in case, if one basket breaks, we've at least got some spares. Or just in case one basket doesn't live up to the expectation, then you've got a spare on the side. Now, some people don't do this. Some people like to risk it all and take the loss, and they're completely fine with it. But really, I think there's a lot of us who can most probably identify with this swaying back and forth. We feel a lot safer this way. We feel like we can cope better if something unfortunate happens because we have the other options. Now, this has happened so much that people decided to put a name to it. So this is called, not that you must be that interested, but self-complexity theory, which is the idea that, for instance, I could be a husband, I could be a teacher and bore students to death, which is what I do from my 9 to 5. I could be a musician and stand in the corner playing bass. I could think that I'm some sort of athlete, but that's definitely past me. I am able to survive negative consequences more, or I perceive that I can, because I have these 5 options. So if I, as a teacher, take a loss, that's fine. Because as a husband, as an athlete, as a musician, I can still find my worth in those things. Those haven't been hit. Those haven't been affected. I can still look at those and say, look at me, I'm so worthful. I'm so great. I've got at least these backup plans. Jesus, like we said though, completely denied this way of life. He's not saying he's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 options. Should really say 7. 7 options, that's at least a complete number. He knew his singular identity of life. He knew that one was enough. Yes, there was a chance that something negative could happen and he could be thrown a curveball or he could be attacked. Like as we read throughout most of the New Testament, Jesus is getting put through the tester. People are trying to catch him. But being the savior of the world or the light in the darkness was enough for him to not question his identity. I wonder what we would need to never question our identity. From this position, we see Jesus then do things. We see Jesus act in confidence. We see him perform great miracles. And it is this idea that we're then going to explore next. That this idea of because Jesus knew his position and identity, he desired to give salvation, favor, truth, life, and light. Or he desired to reveal and give life to people. He acted in a way that revealed his identity and value, not just in being the light, but in releasing it to others by giving it. John's gospel actually packages this really, really well. This book doesn't sort of have parables like you see in the other three, which I didn't realize. But the first half sort of contains lots of these signs or actions that Jesus did, which is focused on him doing this exact thing. So focusing on him revealing his identity or revealing who he is. And we're just going to quickly touch on these as we go through to understand the background of why he did these things, as opposed to them just being good. We see in John 2, 1-12, if you really want to turn to there, you can. It's the action where Jesus turns water into wine, which I'm sure a few of us today would be, yep, I'll take that one, that's fine. We read Jesus is at an important social event, and a social catastrophe is about to ensue. People are going to run out of wine, which doesn't bother me, but for some people that's important. Jesus demonstrated here his power and authority by instantly making fine wine, something that would have taken a period of months to do. We also have some scholars who have proposed ideas back and forth as to why. Why do that? And one of the common ideas that they're suggesting there is that the intention for Jesus to turn water into wine was to actually honor the bridegroom. Instead of actually letting them be shamed for bad catering or not appropriately catering for the group of people that they had. Sounds like in that time that would have been a big, big effect for someone culturally to have to go through that. So this is an amazing example of God giving favor and honoring someone's position. We then have the second one, John 4, 43-54. If you want to turn to that, it's Jesus healing a boy or the official's son. Our second sign here is that Jesus healed a boy without even being in the same room with him. It's pretty impressive. Revealer of life, giver of life, restorer, healer, all of those things that we understand light to be more than light, just being good. It's also interesting to see that Jesus in verse 48, just in the middle of that, had a general rebuke for people who sought signs and wonders rather than just believing. But Jesus still did it anyway. Jesus still compassionately healed the man's son, signifying that he is the bringer of life. He laid down his ideas of what he wanted, what he felt he should do, and said, no, I know my worth. My role is now to reveal that to people. John 5, 1-47, another healing. Now, at the pool of, you can read that, I'll pronounce it wrong. The authority of Jesus and his command is seen over sickness, and his ability to instantly turn someone around from being sick to completely healed. Again, a statement of authority, power, life-giving. He also, again, just like we saw in the previous one, shows compassion. This person was helpless, had been reduced in both body, hope, faith, most probably in spirit as well. And Jesus stepped in and restored those and gave life into this person. It's also quite nice because this can be seen to relate to what Isaiah says in 35:6, where when the kingdom of God is here, The lame will leap like a deer, which is an amazing image of someone not being able to do something, lying down, being impaired, to completely restored and running away. We have John 6, 1-15, big one, feeding the 5,000. Again, providing for his people, just like what we saw when manna was given to the Israelites in the wilderness. This provision of food, this sustenance, this life that's given to people. John 6, same chapter, walking on water. Jesus used a terrifying time to remind his disciples of the God's I am statement, to Moses, seen when he's in the burning bush in Exodus 3:14, and what this means, that being I am commands the water to be still. Being I am provides peace. Here Jesus shows his power over nature and wind and rough waters. The image of chaos of life, being an environment you don't feel comfortable in. Jesus instantly steps into that and says no. John 9, healing the blind man. Here, Jesus communicates his power over disaster or misfortune and even intentionally links himself with the image of being light of the world. The interesting thing here is it is an intentional act that moves the focus away from keeping Sabbath law, but one actually focused on giving life and vision to people. So law would have told him, no, you can't do that. And he said, no, I'm here to give life. I'm here to restore. I'm here to give people what they need. And then potentially the easiest one to grasp as Jesus' giver of life is John 11, the raising of Lazarus from the dead. These examples, these 7 examples at the start of John, confirm that he came to give life to those who believe in him, while foreshadowing his sacrifice in order to give life to many. These signs seem to confirm Jesus' claims that he has made, but they also gave people an example of how light can be revealed and given to the world. As the messenger, Jesus revealed his message of light extremely clearly in his claims, in his statements, and even his actions. They never contradicted each other. They were always in alignment with his claim as light of the world. He did this because he knew his worth as light, and the worth of light, and the gift of giving it to all. As you know, the series is sort of focused on us, though. Us being called as messengers and taking the lead and taking the example of Jesus into the world and packaging that and sort of, what am I supposed to do with it? Well, we have a pretty clear statement in Matthew 5:14, Sermon in the Mount, where Jesus is comparing his disciples to a lightened city on the hill. We intentionally see us being told that we are light, but also that the light is to be seen by others. The similar idea that Jesus went through, knowing your identity and then because of that, outworking it. We even see a similar instruction in the following sentences where Jesus is stating about the light shouldn't be hidden under a basket or a bushel. It should be something shown, revealed to others, not hidden away and packaged in the back corner. However, life's not that easy sometimes. Sometimes situations can make us feel like we aren't the light, or that the light isn't worth being shown, or that even the light isn't worth as much as what we initially thought. And because of that, we can sometimes start over here and sometimes transition to the point thinking this is more worthwhile. Like our example, it's easy to think that God has only given us maybe $10 as opposed to 50 or 100 or 1,000, whatever you want to put that. And because we don't perceive it to be worth anything, we trade it in because it seems that something unknown could be better. Past experiences, hurts, trauma, social expectation are all examples that can reduce our perception of worth of both what we have and what we're called to do. There is a need to truly know and trust who we are, the worth of what we've been given, and the worth of what we've been called to do. This means that when we read our clear instruction in 1 John 2:6, that whoever claims to live in him must live as Jesus did, that we have confidence and realization that this is even possible. This means it doesn't get changed or reduced in worth to we must live good lives, we must be nice, or we must live a moral life. This means that we live as Jesus did. Know our position, know our identity and our worth, and from this position, reveal life and truth to people.